Okay, well, Rembrandt is a person that we interviewed some 3 years ago, and he talked a great deal about waste and about the circular economy and what we can do. And he's quite an expert on it, and he's well known, and he's made many presentations. And although it's 3 years ago, he doesn't look any older, which I can't say the same. Anyhow, Rembrandt, thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we're going to open it up to everyone. First of all, can I ask you, it's been argued that we face a crisis today because since the Industrial Revolution, we've had a high consumption society. And many people believe, people like Kate Raworth, for example, who wrote Donut Economics, that we are actually hitting the limits that our planet can take. And that is not sustainable. Is that something that you believe as well?
Yeah, if you talk about the crisis, so maybe a bit about me. So I live in Hackney. I was involved in the anti-incinerator campaign. I now work on, you could call it circular economy transparency, because when you buy, you don't know really what's the recycled content. Was it coming from a recycled source? You don't know if it's recyclable. You don't know if it's easily reusable. So I'm working on this intersection now between how can we make visibility, and you also don't know the value. I have a lamp here. It's very hard for me to know if I want to sell this, what's the value? Can I get it like that? We also have a problem. I have one phone under my bed and 3 laptops, and I'm not incentivized to bring them to a wee box enough. And many have this problem. We have about several billion in Europe. I don't know the UK, might be several 100 million products lying. So we have a problem of value. It's not, the visibility is not there and the value is not there. I don't know what the value is. And we need to have it fast and systems so that we can do things. And so there's a problem with the structure. So just a bit about me, and I'm working on this in innovation projects now. Also in a big one that's with 50 partners in wastewater, sludge, around cooking oil, use cooking oil to make new bioplastics. And also on construction and demolition waste to create recycled concrete. So just a bit about me, what I'm working on in this waste context in the now. In the crisis context of, okay, we have overconsumption, I think, Francis, if I capture the question well, yeah, we have a crisis of overconsumption of low quality stuff. I don't think we have an overconsumption crisis, but we have a problem with consuming things that are low quality. We throw them away quickly, and there's no value in it. And this is the biggest problem today. And I would agree with that specific addition to the question. And this is something that can be solved, but it requires a big change. So that's how I would respond to the question. And which means we need to go back to valuing things more and having longer lasting things and being incentivized to buying more costly things that are better, and thus we have maybe slightly less products, but longer lasting ones.
Okay, but one of the issues I think is, and we listened to Amy or to Casey earlier, and a lot of things she said was about behavioural change, what we can do ourselves. Do you think that's enough? Can we change it by behavioural change, cultural change, or has there got to be some really fundamental infrastructure change as well?
It's infrastructure change and also it's market change. We don't have the ways to behave. The behavior is not possible. Yeah? We get single-use stuff is thrown at us. What are you going to do? You don't have an option. It's not an option thing. You have to go to very specific cafes or very specific shops, but it should be standard. So if you don't have the option in every shop, it's going to be very hard to behave differently. So the first things that need to change is the system needs to change, so people have the options everywhere. And also some things there should not be options at all. It should not be possible to buy goods online that do not adhere to UK market rules, that are very low quality, and that I don't know. and this is common. Yeah? This is unknown. People don't talk about this. I'm looking at this now in a lot of detail. But you can go to any online marketplace, especially the ones that are from China. But all Amazon and other ones, they're not the exceptions. And you can buy things, and a lot of people do, and they throw them away. Or you can buy things, and within warranty, you can send it back. So that should not be an option. And these are overconsumptive behaviors. So what happens? I want a new shirt. Some people do this. I buy 10 of them, different sizes. I test them to see which size fits, and the other 9 I send back. And then they cannot necessarily resell them as shirts. They have to go to a second-hand loop. And there's a certain percentage of people in our society that do this. So that's why I'm saying they're the hidden problems that should not be allowed. But they are, because we are overprotective of consumers in some cases.
So, I mean,
Yeah, it's maybe not the
yeah,
answer you're looking for, but a little structural changes that are needed before we can behave and have a real cultural behavioral change.
yeah.
It's very
Now,
hard before.
the answer I'm looking for is the one you give, which is
Yeah,
great. So thanks to you. I mean, but if it's cultural change, behavioral change, and infrastructure change, and market change, as you said as well,
market change, yes.
when you look at a local level, when you've got local government who's doing a lot, and we've got Vera here today who does a lot, they've got real problems, haven't they? Because they've got limited cash. And how important is their role? And how is important as well as the community and social enterprises as well?
Yeah, I think the role in local government and community is kind of exemplary projects, testing what can work. You have a limited amount of money, you can do one project. Okay. Or there's a social enterprise and I can do something for 3 months and I can show it's possible. Document it, shout about it, write about it in the press, make it visible, and send it to those who can think about how to change in the structure. London, they have their networks. RAP, they have their networks. And that filtered to the national government. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, this project, 3 jobs created. Could be, if it's scaled, lead to 3 million annual revenue on the budget. Because most of those projects they can work if they're scaled with the right systems. At the small scale, they don't work. They're pilots, they're nice. But this is where I see that's the space you have at the local level. It's to create pilots, sow the seeds, and to talk about it.
But it's not to be
Otherwise,
too big.
you need to find much more funding, and this is very hard. It's not
So,
easy.
so you don't want to do anything that's too big and fail. You want to do what is possible and succeed. But if you do that,
Yeah.
I mean, how important is it that there's collaboration between all the actors involved, local government, businesses, social enterprises, and the community, if you're going to ultimately get systemic change?
It depends on the waste stream and how complex it is. So for example, let's talk about used cooking oil. So one thing that is being done with used cooking oil is to turn it into fuel. Is that the best way to do it? No. You could turn it into materials. These are more innovations to create new bioplastics from it. That's what we work in the project. They're all collected from businesses, yeah? Because collecting used cooking oil from households is a pain. But that's where, okay, in your view, okay, you need to extend it. There could be communities support a social enterprise that helps because they have a lot of community engagement, and that helps to collect once a week and see what's the appetite. Does it work or not? If we go and knock on doors, or do we need to provide 10p per liter? If we provide 10p per liter, would people collect it for you in a clean way? These are the kind of logics, and then it's like, okay, we could do this at this scale. What would it cost to scale it to the whole borough? How many doors do we need to knock? Then you could learn from the politicians, campaign teams. They're good at knocking on doors. Yeah, and how often do you need to knock? So you actually could look at totally different cases and get the data of okay, and get a scheme going. But at the moment, the businesses won't touch it because it's too complicated to go to households. It's too costly, too complicated. You get grumpy people, you get happy people, you get people who are like, I want my cooking oil for myself. I'll just pour it down the drain. And there is actually funding in this because the Thames water, one of the reasons they have so much debt is because they have a lot of clogging problems. Yeah. So I don't know the extent, but there is a significant chunk on their budget to remove fat works. In theory, that money could go to that 10p. But at the moment, no one is taking that action because no one is doing a pilot project.
Okay.
To come back to the previous point.
Okay.
So then you get to the level that the council could go to Thames Water and say, we have this exemplary pilot project. What do you think about funding it? Okay, let's scale, etc. So it's a bit of a snowball type of thing.